Hey gamers, I'm Kwing and I'm excited. One of my most anticipated 3DS titles is finally here! Castlevania Mirror of Fate for the Nintendo 3DS. I hope you enjoy the following video, and if you do, remember to give it a thumbs up. When one thinks of Castlevania, usually a grand adventure fighting B-horror movie villains, throwing holy relics, and listening to the most incredible slamming soundtrack comes to mind. In fact, Castlevania's music was legendary and made vampire slaying rock! Unfortunately, all this changed with Lords of Shadow, which, as fans have stated time and time again, is Castlevania in name only. However, David Cox, now head of Konami's beloved franchise, aims to change all that with Mirror of Fate for the 3DS. Having been a part of the Belmont lineage since 1997, Cox actually took to heart the fans' concerns over the 2010 title and has delivered a true side-scrolling free-roaming Castlevania remake. Though yet again takes a lot of free liberties with the series, which fans may or may not like. Anyway, Mirror of Fate takes place 25 years after Gabriel became Dracula. Spoiler! Trevor was born and Gabriel doesn't know he has a son. When Trevor grows up, he sets out to avenge his mother and face his father, the dragon. This game echoes three main themes that I've seen, that of duty, destiny, and damnation. What's cool about Fate is you'll play as 4 characters and jump around to different time periods. Actually, it seems similar to Julius mode, minus switching between characters and only different parts of the castle accessible to other Belmonts. But yeah, it's some more of this, no. Gabriel kicks off the game with a prologue and then introduces the combat engine. Like Shadow, it's all about combining your attacks to chain combos, timed counters, evading attacks, and grabbing enemies. After that, you play as my favorite Belmont, Simon. Now, the gameplay for Mirror relies on both combat and platforming. Combat consists of 2 types, the Y button for close range and the X button for area strikes or crowd control. When an enemy flashes white, you can do a finishing move, even from a distance, which is killer. Similar to Iga's games, platforming once again rules the day, and players will come across some puzzle solving with Alucard. But it's more annoying than actually fun. Still, the Super Castlevania Whip Swing is back. Yeah, baby. Something not seen since Castlevania Bloodlines. Cox really wanted to implement this into the game, and honestly, I love it! Though that's not all the whip can do in this game. It can also latch onto walls to climb up them and slide down it, similar to the ropes in the Adventure series on Game Boy. Aside from your health meter, the Belmonts also have magic meters too, meaning they can, well, use magic. Now, each character varies in this department, but more or less these powers are used for protection and attacking. Grinding is an important aspect of this game, as vanquishing foes rewards you with some experience, which is how you unlock new moves for your mighty Belmont. However, that's not the only way to level up in this game. Scattered throughout the castle are fallen knights. After reading their scrolls, you'll earn even more experience. That and of course bosses drop a lot of XP too. Still, if you thought this to be a traditional Vania game, it's not really that. While it may offer similarities to the 2D Metroidvania games, that's about it. Yes, exploration and an open world exists in Mirror, and finding all the upgrades could take you about 30 hours, give or take. But alas, Fate is missing that addictive goodness found in the old games for collecting every single secret. You know the ones I'm talking about. In fact, you can beat the whole Mirror of Fate game much faster by following the red arrows, and you'll never ever get lost. But if you somehow manage to get lost and are bad at directions, Mercurysteam has added a way for you to mark your map now. That way, once you learn a new ability, you can easily make your way back to that destination and nab that upgrade. While different than the past games, it's a good kind of different. Look, when I was a kid, I used a pen and notebook for this kind of stuff, so I'm totally digging this feature for Castlevania and hope it remains for future installments. So, as for things I didn't like, well, the story is too predictable. It doesn't help that the game offers way too many hints about a certain character's real identity either. Basically, Mercury pulled another epilogue with this game's conclusion. Watch Lords of Shadow's ending and you'll catch my meaning. Another goof is having Simon be Trevor's son, which removes a lot of long-standing history and future Belmont generations to come. See, part of the fun of each new Castlevania was fighting Drac in a different century and seeing how that Belmont would handle the changing times. Thankfully, though, the trilogy is almost done, and then maybe we can get back to the series' famous canon and, oh, I don't know, August 11th, 1999 Konami? Aria fans, you better get the reference. Graphically, I have to say the game is fantastic, although sometimes it appears like the whole world gets a bit shaky. But this does settle down after a few seconds, and other than that, graphics look great. Alucard, on the other hand, is the lamest character in this game, and fans of him are going to be highly disappointed.
No.
That and his magic, while very cool, doesn't protect you and drains faster than anyone else's in the game. It also doesn't help that they added puzzles for him, and the blood orbs set the pacing way too slow and actually get kind of frustrating. Thankfully, Trevor made everything all better. And lastly, my final issue lies with the game's music. Oh, come on, you knew this was coming. A while back, David Cox said Mirror would feature classic, iconic Castlevania tunes, which had me pumped, but evidently changed his mind since then. This was the biggest concern for Castlevania fans of the series, and it looks like one Cox's Vania will continue to outright ignore. But that isn't to say the music is bad or anything, it just doesn't work for Castlevania. It's more slasher horror flick or Van Helsing than the heroic Baroque style themes we're used to hearing and everyone loves. Still, I think all things considered, the composer did quite well. Personally, I'm just tired of these atmospheric scores in modern games putting me to sleep. With that being said, and my griping aside, however, in order to make a fantastic Castlevania game, you need 3 things, and Mercurysteam nailed the other 2. Once again, Castlevania is as hard as nails, and even with the game's unlimited continues, any enemy can send you to your early grave. Combat is awesome and works very well for Cox's Vania. I so need to trademark that. Simon and Trevor both have a good balance of strength and magic, though Alucard, yeah, not so much. Secondly, the devs definitely nailed the presentation and look of Mirror of Fate. The creative enemies and levels have always been an important aspect of Castlevania's bloodline, and Mercury continues the tradition and then some. The visuals in this game are some of the best on the Nintendo 3DS. And utilize the 3D in ways I didn't think was possible. The cutscenes look absolutely gorgeous and are cel-shaded, making me wish the entire game looked just like this. Aside from that, each level is massive in size, and the sheer amount of detail they threw into this is awe-inspiring. We really haven't seen a castle look quite like this since Lament of Innocence. Cox's Vania is also chock full of so many past references to classic Castlevania games, like the enemies, heroes, iconic sub-weapons, magic, and even the Super Castlevania whip swing! Oh, and I can't forget to mention that Simon can finally swim! And it's actually useful to find stuff in the game, it's not a gimmick! All things considered, Castlevania Mirror of Fate for the Nintendo 3DS is my favorite game of 2013 thus far. I love the fact that it plays similar to the non-linear Castlevania games of old, and at the same time keeps the one element people loved from Lords of Shadow, its combat engine. The lasting appeal for it isn't that shabby either, and longtime fans will love the hundreds of references found throughout this game. For example, finding meat hidden in the barrels and the walls. Oh man, what a nostalgia trip. So, if you've been one of those people waiting for a reason to buy a Nintendo 3DS, look no further than Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. Man, that name is just way too long, isn't it? Anyway, somehow the developers managed to appease this old school fan while bringing in new ideas that actually work, meaning this title is totally worth a buy. It's currently available both in retail form at the stores and on the Nintendo 3DS eShop. And that, gamers, is definitely a wrap. If this review was helpful, please leave a comment below. If you didn't like it, well, tell me why. Until next time, gamers, God bless and happy gaming. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next review, I'll see you later, K-fans.